before I start my comments, I want to say something about Rabbi. When she came here a few years ago, Rabbi Kling Perkins. Kling rang a bell in my head. Kling, Kling. Then I remembered her grandfather officiated my daughter's wedding next door. And the reason was because Rabbi Meyer's mother wasn't feeling good. He was stuck in Florida. And Rabbi Kling, her grandfather, was the rabbi in the temple where my daughter and her husband were in Louisville, Kentucky. So they were so close that he happened to come with them on this trip. And guess what? He had to officiate. So then if she didn't have her middle name Kling, I wouldn't have connected the two together. So this is my relation with Rabbi Kling. Now on my remarks. I thought the other day that in June 1972, I became president of this temple. By the way, that was 50 years ago. Anybody in here, stand up, please, if you were here, a member in 1972. Oh, not many. Not many. All right. Let me tell you a little bit about what was then. I'll start with the budget. The budget was 2 pages long. The sum was $100,000. Rabbi's salary was $10,000. The dues were $200 to $300. And that's it. In terms of organization, we had normal board and 3 vice presidents. There's the president, vice president number 1, number 2, number 3. And every year, the first vice president becomes president, the next one goes on. So that's the organization. As far as the staff, amazing. There was a rabbi, there was a secretary, and there was a custodian. Custodian lived downstairs, and we had a cantor that came for the high holidays we hired. So that's about all the staff. No executives, anything. And everything was done by people. The accounting, the membership, the dues, everything was volunteer work. Good or bad, I do not know. As compared to what we got now, it's unbelievable. The issues, the big issue during my time was, guess what? Admitting women to perform halacha. There was big arguments, you know. Some men left because to let a woman in, that's not acceptable to them. Some argued. So that was one of the big discussions during my era. I'm just reminded this morning, 6 women were, this wouldn't have happened 50 years ago by a long shot. As a matter of fact, the women were not even bat mitzvah then. My daughter had something on Friday night, some kind of a brief meeting, and that was it. So I feel very good that during my transition, women really are equal and participating very well with the men. As a matter of fact, I like many of the voices that women have that we never had before. My problems. One was collecting dues. In spite of the fact that it was low, people didn't pay. And the other problem was we didn't have staff. So the president, like me, after say some remarks or thanks everybody, nothing was written. I couldn't remember the names. You know, I had to remember, can't write anything on Shabbat. So that was a big problem. But anyway, it wasn't a big issue. As to the rabbi is concerned, this is a sensitive issue. I had problems with the rabbi and a few things that he wanted. And then I want to tell you that the president and the board have to be strong. Yes, The rabbi has authority, but they have the responsibility. As a matter of fact, one time, without telling me, he decided to have double up on bar mitzvah. And I remember clearly, people pushed me up, said, "Fred, say something." I said, I don't know, let's talk about it. Anyway, I was pretty strong and adamant, and I wanted the board to let me know where the responsibility of the president and the board lie, and where the responsibility of the rabbi lie. There were a few other issues that came up, but we were quite reasonably friendly towards the end. What's my problems? Yes, the temple was built and there were no sewers there. They had a septic tank. And temples were designed septic tank sized according to church layouts. They didn't realize that in our community, we had a Friday night, we had Saturday, we had blah, 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 and that septic tank down the parking lot used to flood. And the point was they couldn't use the toilets. I wanted to give everybody 10 cents, tell them do it at home, because it was terrible until we had some influence and we brought a pipe and we connected to the sewer. The other thing we did a lot was activities of various sorts. Two of them come to mind. One of them is play. We used to have a play every year, and the members of our community participated. You know, high sophisticated professional plays we used to have. And then the other thing we used to have is art show. What's an art show? It's displaying paintings, people bringing paintings and buy paintings. Now, this is how I became president, I'll tell you. Those panels we used to rent. Panels are 4 by 8 with legs to stand on. And we have 7, 8 of these, and we hang the paintings on. So we used to rent them for about maybe $30, $40, $80, I don't know. When I got involved, I said, no, we'll make it. I had a few carpenters, and the cost was maybe $300, $400 to make them. Oh, and we can't afford it. I said, we can. So anyway, these panels were made, and curious enough, it was rented out 2, 3 times, 5 times. It used to be stored behind the bima, and we used it 5 times. Hey, they said, Fred, you're a good purchasing agent. You should get on the board. Here, I made money for the temple in spite of the arguments we had before. One comment that stands in my mind is Rabbi Myers, from this pulpit next door, made a prediction that Judaism will be a lot different, may not even exist by the end of the century. Thank God he was wrong. A couple of things. It's an honor to be a president, but it's a lot of work. In those days, we didn't have any emails. I was on the phone most of the time and visits, and I feel bad for my children. I tell them, oh, I'll see you a little later. I come to the temple, of course, they're asleep by that time. So it's a sacrifice, and it's worth it, only for a few years. But one thing hasn't changed since 1950, and that is the salary of the president. I close with a couple of remarks. As I said, I used to make the announcements from the pulpit. My vice president was Barbara Labbitt. And I said, Barbara, do the comments. She says, do you want to see a vice president under the chair? That was Barbara. And I'll close with another one. Sandra Levine. One day, she used to work in the kitchen. She came running. She said, Fred, there's a mouse in the kitchen. I said, is he wearing a yarmulke? Now, I don't know if you let me, but if you have any questions if you want to ask me, that'd be appropriate, all right? Anybody wants to ask a question or then and now? Otherwise, oh, I'm sorry.
Did you start including women in the, services?
I'm sorry?
Did you start including women to lead services in 1970?
Well, it's very slow. My memory is vague in that area. But I know the arguments were there because the central authorities decided they can let women, but the choice is up to the temples themselves. Yeah, I'm delighted that it came about. Okay, thank you and for listening.